when Cormier fought Stipe, he got COVID during camp and just trained right through it. Just kept going.
I fought first time when you interviewed me and you weren't even in the cage. It was when they were still doing.
Oh, that was ridiculous.
It was Jake Matthews. I had COVID 2 weeks before the fight.
You remember that? How crazy that was? You just had a fucking cage fight. So you're on top of each other, sweating, pounding on each other. Everyone's tested. I'm tested. All the announcers are tested. All the referees are tested. And we still couldn't be next to each other when I interviewed you. That was so dumb.
So I had COVID 2 weeks before that. Only symptoms I had were I lost my taste and my smell, which that fucking sucks.
For food, right?
Food, and like I love drinking coffee, especially when you're in camp and you're cutting weight. Like that's the only like thing you really get to enjoy. So I get to fight week show up because I tested negative before I got there. I let the UFC know. I get there, I take my first test, and so when you were getting tested, they would call you, get a text, you're good to go to work. All my coaches sitting around me all got their text at 7 a.m. My phone never goes off. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, something's not right. I get a phone call. They're like, hey, like you tested positive. I'm like, no. Like I had, like, so I sent them my results. Like it was a false positive. So luckily I sent them all my stuff and let them know I had COVID 2 weeks ago. So like everything obviously went through, but like if I didn't do that, they would have canceled my fight right there. Ugh. I was getting calls from the CDC because I was in Vegas. They're telling me I can't leave the state. Like I can't fly home. I was like, fuck that. I was like, I'm driving the next city over and I'm flying home if I can't fight. Like I'm not staying here. So yeah, that was
what a wild time.
But it's still lingering.
Sort of. They're trying to bring it back. A little bit. In some ways. I still see people like in restaurants. I saw the other day, a server was wearing a mask. I was like, what? Okay.
The best is when you're in your car by yourself.
Nuts.
You're by yourself.
There's
no one around you.
It's insane.
Yeah.
These people are just insane.
Yeah.
Some people just lost their minds. I mean, they just broke. Yeah. They broke a fuse.
Yeah. But the hospitals, like, my wife's an RN, and she said they're reinstating the mask mandate. But I think it might be there's flu and then there's COVID and shit. So
it's just not even scientific. That's the thing. It's not even based on science. Like you're doing it to make people feel better.
Yeah.
Because the science doesn't support mask use. It just doesn't.
Before the Kelvin fight, like 3 weeks in, I had lost my taste and my smell. I'm like, I definitely have COVID. I refused to test myself though. I'm like, I'm not testing myself. Like I'm not doing it. Like I trained and I'm like, if I tested myself and if I had it, then I'd be like, fuck, like I feel bad.
Are they testing anybody
anymore? No. And I'm like, I'm just sick. Like I'm just normal, like my normal sick. Like you can get normal. I'm like, all I taste is metal for 3 weeks, but I'm like, I don't know what that is.
Isn't it crazy though that it feels like normal sick, but because you have this label on it, it's not the same COVID anymore. It's just not. Yeah, and they're still treating it like it's this deadly disease.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I knew a few people who got you got fucked up, but people also get fucked up from the flu.
Yeah,
like people get fucked up from normal sicknesses. So like, it never.
I have a friend who was just in bed for 10 days with the flu.
Sick as shit. Like
no one shut anything down.
And that's normal. But now, like you said, there's COVID's attached to that. And if you post about it or you say shit about it, like these motherfuckers are trying to come at you and cancel you. So like I try to like on social media, you just gotta just sit back and let these crazy ass people just say their shit, because
there's just so many insane people on social media. They're so insane. And COVID just gives them an excuse to be a cunt. It just gives so many people an excuse to just yell at people.
We're starting to get tired of it though. Like people like me and you and like people who want to just go about their life, and like 2 weeks in, I was back to my normal shit. Like I was running, I was doing all my shit. Like I thought I thought it was never going back. Like I'm like, this is gonna be fucking nuts. Like I would go to parks and they'd have the parks closed. I'm like, you're telling me I can't go run a wooded trail by myself? There's people people would start coming out. They all had masks on. I'm like, you're in the woods. And you were supposed to be 6 feet apart from each other. Like, what the fuck are we doing here?
It's so silly. They arrested a guy. The Coast Guard got a guy who was surfing. This dude's on the ocean by himself on a fucking surfboard, and the Coast Guard rolls up on this dude.
On him,
like, is this a good use of resources, folks?
Like, let's go, buddy. You're getting locked the fuck up.
So dumb, man. But I'll never forget how dumb it was. It's like it's all kind of normalized now. And,
for sure.
It was just a couple of years ago. Everybody had lost their minds.
Well, we look back at it, I'm like, it's not that long ago. Our whole country was just fucked up, and now we're just like, it's like it never happened. I'm like, this is crazy.
Well, it seems more preposterous to MMA fighters or jiu-jitsu guys or anybody who does anything that's actually dangerous.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you're doing something dangerous all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, and also you're in supreme health and condition.
Yeah.
And then they ask you to do something ridiculous.
Yep.
Forever.
Yep.
Forever.
No.
Stay in your house for a year.
Yeah.
Like what?
That's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
They don't,
terrible for you.
But they don't want you to be healthy. They want you to be fat. They want you to be lazy. They don't want you working out. They don't want you eating.
Well, they
right.
definitely want you to comply.
Yeah.
That was the most important thing that they wanted during that time. They wanted full compliance from people.
Yeah.
And if they could scare you into compliance, that's the way they did it.
It fucking worked for a lot of people.
Boy, it did. It scared the shit out of me because I was like, oh my God, there's so many pussies out here.
Yeah.
There's so many people that will roll over for the government, even if what they're saying doesn't make any sense, even if it's not scientific. It's just really disheartening.
But they even put us, like, it was almost like a position where I'm like, damn, like, I'm not vaccinated. I'm like, am I going to have to get this shot so I can fight? I'm like, then it's going to come like, do I retire because I don't want this fucking shot? You know?
Right.
So like, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
So luckily it didn't come to that, because choosing my career or getting that fucking shot, like, I don't know what I would have did. But
well, I almost got the shot. The whole UFC, the UFC staff, they allocated all these vaccines. They had it set up, and so Dana and I were talking. He goes, hey, if you want to get vaccinated, we have them for you. I go, great. I wasn't even remotely hesitant in the beginning.
Yeah.
And just by luck, I get there on Saturday for the fight, and I call the doctor and I say, hey, can you? I thought they could do it for me at the arena.
Yeah.
So I was going to do it, get vaccinated, and then just
go
call
do
the
your
fights.
thing.
I mean, like, how bad could it be?
Yeah.
I wasn't hearing anything bad about it. And he said, no, we have to do it at the clinic. Can you come on Monday? And I said, I have to go home. I go, but we'll be back in 2 weeks because we had fights in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then within 2 weeks, they pulled it.
Shit got bad.
That's when they pulled it.
Yeah.
When Johnson & Johnson was the one. And then I knew 2 dudes who got strokes. 2 guys.
It's like,
I was like, what is going on? And so then I started getting a little weird. And then I started like listening to these doctors that were speaking out against this technology. And then I listened to Dr. Robert Malone, who he owns 9 patents on the creation of mRNA vaccine technology. And he had a very severe reaction to the vaccine. And he posted about his reactions. And then I had him on, and then people started getting mad at me. Like, this guy's a legit doctor.
Yeah. Well, my mom's a nurse too, and she got her like yearly flu shot, and the chick who gave it to her like must have gave it to her wrong and like fucked her shoulder up. So like she had like problems in her shoulder, and then it came to getting the COVID shot. She's like, I'm not getting it. And it wasn't like any like reason, like it wasn't like she didn't know shit about COVID at the time. She's like, I just don't want to get another shot. So